Joseph Duarte yesterday with the story, Kelvin Sampson's new contract. He has earned it, no question, among the top paid college basketball coaches in America. And, of course, we're around the corner from Houston officially on July 1st, walking through the front door and officially being a part of the Big 12. And there's football season ticket news and always more. Joseph, thanks for your time. Craig Smoak, David Smoak here on 365 Sports. So this is not the sound as if they would not pay him anyway, because he was already getting paid a chunk. But does it help with the incoming infusion of money in the Big 12 to maybe do a few more things now than Houston was able to do anyway?
Yeah, but in regards to the most successful coaches they've got on campus, I think if they had to, they would have started looking in under the couch and the seat cushions to find whatever loose change they could. But you're right. The previous contract that he got in 2019, that was after their Sweet 16 appearance, the first of the first four in a row that they've had. And also Arkansas was knocking at the door, trying to lure him to Fayetteville. So they knew that as the program's gotten better and really elevated to a national title contender every year, that they wanted to keep him in line with the top 10, 15 in the nation. And he had fallen off of that based off of the 2019 contract. So it was as much as trying to get him back where they admittedly feel he belongs and should be. And, he's creeping up on that $5 million a year range, which there are only a handful of those guys currently in college basketball. So they just wanted to get this set up. Plus, it had a lot more to do with the future of the program and how they handled the succession plan with Kelvin Sampson.
Well, Joseph, speaking of the future, not so much hoops related, but just in general, Big 12 becoming a member, as Smokey pointed out, that's here on the horizon in the next couple of weeks officially, and it does feel like we started to sort of turn that corner, start looking forward to football season, and it's coming up. So I know there's been this season ticket, madness as far as 6,000 new season tickets, passing 23,500 season tickets. That tells me there's a bit of a buzz generated right now. But how would you describe kind of this build-up to Big 12 play for the Cougars?
Well, this is probably as big a build-up as they've had since they were coming off of that Peach Bowl, New Year's Six Bowl season in 2015. So the 2016 season with Tom Herman, they got a really big push in the season tickets, but they haven't been in this position ever since the breakup of the Southwest Conference, that with the ability to generate this kind of buzz. And it's a 40,000 seat stadium. You look at some of the other numbers that are thrown out there, and a lot of places have higher season ticket numbers. But for Houston, this is a big step in the right direction. They were targeting about 25,000 for the first season, so they're close on it, and they want to get this place TDECU Stadium filled for their first season. They haven't had a sellout in this place since the end of the 2016 season when Lamar Jackson played here with Louisville. So it's been a long time coming, but there is a buzz, and as you see the different schedules starting to come out. And whether it's playing Kansas and Mexico or, hosting TCU in that opener or going to Waco for Baylor, there's just a lot of momentum that Houston fans are starting to appreciate being back in a conference where they'll have some regional rivalries again and should mean packed crowds.
You've covered Houston, the city, for a long time, and obviously what you've done at the Chronicle and more. Is this something that has a buzz like you've not seen at the University of Houston in maybe since the run and shoot years, or is that not giving them enough credit?
Well, I'm not old enough to go back to quite the run and shoot. I was around, but not here yet. But I can tell you though that let's I guess put it in context. This is a pro city, and anything that you get beyond the Astros and Rockets and Texans, it can be crumbs at times. You get the leftovers. And it's been a tough haul for Houston, the University of Houston, to sort of carve a niche, and they have done that with the basketball program certainly, and at times it's been off and on with football, but it hasn't been a consistent, momentum grab for that program. So the fact that once the Big 12 was announced 2 years ago, you just saw maybe things that hadn't been present in the last couple of decades start to come back. You're getting more interest in donors and fundraising. And Houston set themselves up for this. They, about 8 or 9 years ago, they started investing in facilities. I like the line that the AD used one time. He said, look, we had to fake it till we made it. And that's sort of what they did. They spent about $250 million plus on facilities, actually probably more than that. A lot more than that, and then they were paying coaches. So it's all added up to this buzz, and I think people are just ready now. I mean, no offense to the American Athletic Conference, but when you played some of the just no ties type teams like East Carolina and UConn and places like that over the last 10 years, you're ready to play TCU and Baylor and Texas Tech, and for one season, you're definitely ready to play the Texas Longhorns if you're a Houston fan.
What do you mean? UConn's coming, apparently. There's
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, oh gosh, I just lost. Oh, the Mexico situation there. I know there's still a lot of details to be ironed out on what all the Big 12 is going to have as far as Big 12 Mexico goes, but there was the announcement involving Houston. What are your thoughts on a little international flavor down south of the border?
Well, it made sense from the beginning, even before they announced the teams. They had to have had at least one Texas school part of that. And, you look at the options. Houston's the biggest market now in the Big 12 and in the state, and the closest to the border. So I thought, they were a really good pick. You could have gone with Baylor too. That Baylor-Kansas game would have been a great one too. But they had to do something that offered some type of regional, an offering for that game. I know that from a standpoint of, there's some logistics that year. It'll be a non-conference game, so it'll be I believe it's the 2024-25 season, and then the teams will play a regular season conference game in Lawrence. So there was some concern at Houston about who would have to give up a home game, but it ended up being a season where they were going to just play once in the regular season. This year they'll play a home and home. So there's some things to get through with that. I like the idea also of a bowl game being played there for football, and that would be in Monterey. And I believe that's also at the end of the 2026 season. So Brett Yormark's wanted to expand the thing nationally. Now he's going internationally, and why not? Nobody's really tapped into the Mexican market down there, and if the Big 12 feels that they could get some eyes on the conference from there, why not try it?
If it works, great. If it creates revenue, better. And if it doesn't, well, then you gave it a shot. Do any of the rumors or does any of the speculation about what else might be happening with the Big 12 outside of what you mentioned as far as possible additions down the road or what's happening with the Pac-12, does any of that register in Houston, and or does it take away anything of July 1st when everything becomes official?
No, I don't think so, because one, the 4 teams coming in, I guess when you look at how this is all played out, those 4 teams can say, hey, look, we were the next grab of teams and we got in, and they're basing it on their merits and so forth. And I don't see any talk of does it dilute the conference, because if you can add an Arizona, especially for basketball, that's a big deal. If you get a Gonzaga or a UConn for basketball, that makes the best basketball conference even stronger. And you haven't really seen, I guess you throw Colorado in there as well. You haven't seen a lot of schools that you would just shake your head and say, look, this is a desperation move. This isn't if you're going to be one of those 4 new schools, well, why are they adding these afterwards? So I don't get that feel. It was kind of interesting how the Memphis story played out recently, and whether they were, the Big 12 was on campus, whether they weren't, who's interested in who. But from the standpoint of Houston going in, they're not going to let anything after 20-something years get in the way of how they feel about just being a part finally of a Power 5 conference. So I think, this thing's going to still play its way out. Are we going to 16 teams at some point? Those 4 schools should at least be happy right now that they're in the club. It's not a matter of still having to add them. They're in, and it'll be official in 2 weeks.
Joseph, as far as, Houston being one of the 3 American schools that are coming over, of those 3, if you could rank, I guess we need to start off for just football because that's what's coming up next, but how do you kind of see those 3 in terms of the way that they're coming in, the shape that they're coming in? Who do you expect to maybe have the better time in year number 1? Who do you think and it might be all 3, I don't know, but who do you think might struggle the most amongst those 3, just the way they're shaped right now?
Right. I know they're not part of it. I think, BYU, I think, is the best, as far as being independent, they're in the best shape. But as far as the 3 American, I probably would go Central Florida, then Cincinnati, then Houston, based on on-field product. I think Houston's got some answers the questions that they need answered, and I would maybe put them 2A and 2B with Cincinnati, but I think Central Florida is in best shape out of the 3.
Joseph,
from a football.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you very much. I can't wait to see you in Arlington with Big 12 Media Days. Appreciate your time. Craig, anything else for Joseph? Joseph, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Joseph Duarte, Houston Chronicle, with us on Houston Athletics.